I think if we can somehow get a better system for artists to get paid, that'd be cool. We're not all the Foo Fighters, man. We can't all make all these millions of plays at one time.
The last living rock band.
Foo Fighters is something else.
Dave Grohl only writes hits.
He does only write hits. Rock and roll's that's a whole other subject in itself.
Do you think rock and roll's dead? That's always the big question everyone always asks.
I don't think it's dead.
Modern rock guys just smell funny.
I just don't think it sells. The spirit is still there.
Sleeping in sweaty truck stops.
Sweaty truck stops, for sure. I smell really bad then. But I don't think it's dead. The spirit is still there, and I think at its heart, it always wanted to be this kind of punky, underground, raw thing.
Yeah.
But I was watching someone talk about it the other day, the punk rock MBA. It's really informative guy. But on his podcast, they were talking. I think it was a podcast. They were talking about like the fall of it, and a lot of it seems to come from these rock guys taking themselves very seriously, and they take the fun out of the music. Whereas hip hop is always about fun. They're always having fun, even when they're fucking sad. They're having fun, you know.
Sticking diamonds in your forehead.
You love me, you lied to me.
It's the return of the Mac.
Oh
Rock doesn't
God.
have a Mac. The Foo Fighters have fun up there, even if their shit's serious. But like, there's a lot of just new artists. They just want to keep doing either the same thing, or they take themselves too seriously, and they just, rock is just the kind of that outlet at the time, you know. And I don't think there's a unified rock, I don't know, like groups out there like there are for I guess pop is just
one person in the backing band.
Well, no, I was like, it's not even really a genre. It's just
yeah, it's whatever's popular.
Yeah, that's really all it is. There's not all pop sounds the same, but I think rock is just, it's trying really hard right now to figure itself out again, because it's not what it used to be. There should be, with all the things happening in the world, it seems like the time for that rock and roll mentality to be alive and well, right? Like, do you rebel, like fucking do the thing, make the world turn, be different. But all those old rock people are like these like fucking middle-aged, stuck in their own minds and like politics. I don't know about you guys anymore. I still listen to these rock bands, but I don't know. And they're just like, the complacent ones, I guess. Yeah. The fans of that style music aren't those types of people as much anymore. So I think all these young people will figure it out. They're going to figure out how to make rock something. It's going to evolve. I just don't know how. We'll see.
Do you ever worry that it might be antiquated, kind of like how jazz is?
I think it'll live out its zeitgeist at some point.
I mean, we have classic rock.
Yeah.
There's people who just I play classic rock. It's like, oh, wow, yeah, like that's already out, like it's dating itself right there.
What's funny, though, is that's a shifting term now. Because, I mean, I've heard Motley Crue on classic rock stations. And that used to be, a whole other thing.
A whole other style.
Classic rock was like, like ZZ Top, the Eagles, all that stuff. And now the 80s bands are considered classic rock. So in time, the 90s bands, are they going to be classic rock in like 10 years?
Everything at some point has to be, right?
What are we going to call classic rock?
Old school. I mean, you're right. Like what were oldies before, Oldies didn't used to be oldies.
Oldies used to be doo-wop. They used to be pop music.
And then all of a sudden it's oldies. It became the classic rock,
I think it was J.D. Brown, or Junior Brown, not J.D., sorry, who explained that, the generation that was there when something formed, when that dies off, that's when it really loses its, zeitgeist. I just like that word, so I keep using it.
It is a good word.
So like when my parents die, when your parents die, like that's the classic rock generation. Like, they were there for the 60s.
Yeah.
So people be able to talk about it and like pull it out every now and again and be like, oh, look, it smells like rock. But the same thing, now that like Dixieland or jazz or any of that and big band, like my grandma was big band. Like she liked big band, the old country stuff. And no one really talks about that anymore. No one.
I'm not gonna listen to big band music probably anytime soon.
Yeah, no big band music, no Conway Twitty.
I dig little Conway Twitty.
Boom, boom, boom.
No, you're right though, because it's all one thing. Like I always make the joke, but it's kind of true that a lot of these rock bands are essentially just want to keep making Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. Like we just want to sound like the good shit that we like, the classic rock or the old stuff, because we're like, yeah, that's the sound that I grew up on. I want to make that.
Yeah.
It's like when you're not pushing for anything new,
It's stagnant.
yeah, people stop paying as much attention because it's just not happening. That's the thing with pop and hip hop. It's like always something new. The slang terms in general. Talk about that one a lot. Like that keeps people talking and using new words and like being in the know. Even just something as simple as words that they put into their songs.
Yeah.
But rock is very much. There's a lot of new rock and the people, but at that point it veers off. Is rock just music you make with instruments or guitars? Like does that? There's so many indie rock bands that like when you listen to it, it's like that.
Did indie rock?
That doesn't even sound like rock. It's just this guy made music with a guitar, but it's its own kind of thing.
It just didn't fit in any other category.
Yeah.
Like,
Is that what we do? Guitar music essentially is rock or electric guitar music, unless it sounds like blues, which is loosely rock.
loosely.
It's basically. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna evolve. I don't know. I do think there's some kind of old rock attitude and aspects that are definitely gonna just become, well, like the jazz thing. Like, we're gonna hire an old rock band to play. Like, you don't go out and gig as a jazz musician very much, I'm sure, unless you're an old jazz guy. So maybe that'll be old rock bands too.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Well, even that's what's funny is I remember one of the professors at the college complaining about that because they were like, yeah, the big band used to get booked at the RV parks, but now all the winter visitors just want to hear Proud Mary. It's like, yeah, the jazz generation is dead.
Now it's these guys.
Now it's these guys.
All these rock guys are retiring, and they want to hear what they want to hear.
Oh, God. Can you just imagine the grandpa that's like, sit down, son, this is the good stuff.
That's what I'm going to do to kids. Just make them listen to shit that I liked.
Just pick horrible stuff, though.
Yeah, listen, I'll do the thing me and Will made. Just be like, this was the song of our generation.
This was the hit.
And it'll be Will coughing.
Not even the whole song, just that.
No, it's real though. It makes me wonder what our generation, people right after us, like, what's their trailer, their RV parks gonna be having tribute bands for, if there is even gonna be any,
Oh, Gen Z?
Yeah, or the ones after. Who knows?
There was gonna end before then.
It'll be a new world. We'll fall into a black hole. It'll be fun. I think Bill Gates will spearhead it.
Operation Black Hole.
There was recently a paper published by one scientist who said theoretically, if the black hole was the right size, you could pass through it just fine, but you would never come back though. Like you'd pass through it perfectly fine if it's the size appropriately. I'd have to finish the article, but
Where did you go?
that's what they're saying. It's like you would send like whatever's on the other side of it, but you could get through it so long because black holes are immensely tiny.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was big enough to fit you through, you could pass through it. So it's just a fun fact.
Fun fact.
That'd be trippy, man. Be the only guy to go through a black hole.
And have no one to tell about it.
Not a soul.
Right. I like to think it's the same universe, but just everything's just up and to the left, you know?
2 inches to the left.
You like look at a version of yourself.
Everyone
You're
thinks you're
just that
drunk,
much
but
different.
you just can't like adjust to the universe.
No, it's just everything's just a little off.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hear the music on the other side of a black hole.
Everything's just like 2 cents flat.
It's awful.
Or sharp, whatever you want.
Someone's flat is someone's sharp.
No kink shame.
No kink shame.